Well, let's get more on this. Erin Bates is a legal writer at Business Day. She joins us now. Erin, good afternoon. Thanks for coming in. I do appreciate it. Shows you how close we are to the end of the pandemic that you're here. This delay is so strange. We're given a deadline. We're told that things are going to happen. We were told last week that things would happen, and then they didn't. It's nearly a week later. We still don't have the final report.
We don't, so it's been promises, promises, promises. But, Stephen, this isn't anything out of the ordinary. In fact, almost all the reports Zondo has submitted in these tranches have been late. The issue here, of course, is as in other cases, there's been a court-ordered deadline, June the 15th. He acquired that, promising the High Court. He only needed about 6 weeks, and then an extra 2 would be nice just to add those finishing touches. We're well beyond those 2 weeks plus. And there's no sign of the report as yet. We're told, though, however, and I have confirmed this, that the handover will take place tomorrow afternoon and in Cape Town now because of all the moving parts in this circus.
So, presumably, almost immediately after that handover, we'll actually see the thing for ourselves. It'll be on a WhatsApp group near you.
I do hope so, Stephen, because there's plenty packed into this final section of the report. We know there are going to be 6 volumes. They cover Estina, Prasa, SABC, the 2013 Gupta-Gate Waterkloof scandal at the Air Force Base, and then also the bigger picture of state capture. I think I've covered all of those 6 volumes, and we understand that there may well be an executive summary of all the recommendations Zondo has come together with as well.
Arthur Fraser might be the only one that you might have missed. Let's see about the timing.
Yes, State Security Agency. That's quite right. Yeah, that's the one.
There's an important legal issue. The issue around the Chief Justice missing a deadline set by a court. Now, this is not just a mere politician. This is the Chief Justice missing a deadline set by a court.
Indeed, and this is the head of the judiciary. You know, he leads in the highest court of the country, and he's gone to the High Court before to ask for deadline extensions. Now we understand that he intends to file a condemnation application, basically saying, mea culpa, I really tried my best, but I, whoopsie, missed the deadline, and these are the reasons why. Will you forgive me and grant me some leeway? But it's a little bit like your boss saying to you after scheduling an interview, oh, Stephen, sorry I didn't pitch up and didn't make it. What on earth are you going to say to him or her as any kind of sanction or sort of chiding? So it is a bit of a tricky, sticky corner in this case, and we'll have to see what's the substance of the condemnation application. But as I say, I would be almost more surprised if Zondo had actually submitted the final report on time. And as we saw there in that bite, you know, a degree of sympathy considering the sort of tidal wave of evidence and testimony the Commission has been wading through for 4 or so years.
I'm going to come to that because there's other things to it, but I do just want to look a little bit more at this condemnation issue. So one of the reasons, I mean, we've seen 2 political parties, opposition parties, strongly criticize the postponement, strongly criticize what appears to have been what was a phone call between the President and the Chief Justice yesterday. Quite a strange moment where the Chief Justice interrupted the Judicial Service Commission and said, in public, I took a call from the President. I don't know who else he would have interrupted it for.
But you see, Stephen, there the issue is you're almost damned if you do and damned if you don't. If he waltzes in late after a tea adjournment and simply continues without any kind of clarity on why, that might be deemed to be disrespectful to his incoming deputy and the 23-odd commissioners on the JSC. At the same time, he name drops by mentioning that he was on a call with the President as the head of the judiciary, another arm of state, and then he's in trouble too. So it's really a bit of a difficult one. But there, I would like to highlight that, of course, we knew Maya was Ramaphosa's pick for Deputy Chief Justice. So this idea that there was somehow discussions around her interview and her candidacy, I think is rather far-fetched. I have seen some sort of speculation on that. Vincent Magwenya from the Presidency clarifying that conversation was about the delayed finalized report and the handover, which we now know will happen tomorrow.
It makes my head explode when we have 2 big stories like this sort of colliding in the same room. The condemnation application. So at the moment, all of the speculation has been because we don't know the exact details of why there's been a delay. We don't know if someone had a printing problem. I mean, who's never had one of those? We don't know if someone's dog ate part of the homework. We don't know if just there are final checks that need to be made. If the condemnation application includes a detailed explanation, that would put all of the speculation to bed. Is this an opportunity for the Chief Justice, or for the Zondo Commission, let me put it like that, to explain itself and get rid of all of the innuendo?
Yes, and I think if the clarification in that application is not absolutely crystal, it will be a lost opportunity. We know there have been delays in the past, things as, kind of pedestrian in our lives anyway, as load shedding, affecting these printers that are used to produce the hard copy for that ceremonial handover. That might not affect a laptop that's been charged up, that's putting together the PDF, but it's those kinds of things that have gotten in the way. Of course, with proper planning, you can, preempt and mitigate those kinds of logistical issues. But we do understand, and I have heard this from sources very close to the Commission and its work, that Zondo is painstaking to a fault. I think we saw that throughout his presiding of 3+ years of public testimony. We've also seen that Zondo likes to go through the drafts time and again to make sure that they are properly seen to and attended to. And he has, by some of these people close to the Commission, been accused of being almost too controlling, too kind of avuncular, or that's not really the right word, although I would say Zondo is avuncular, but kind of like sort of paternal and controlling of the work of the different work streams led by different evidence leaders and lawyers. And so that is a trend. We've seen it time and again. It's happened here, and it's affected the timing, but we'll obviously get more of those details once we see what's in the condemnation application, which, to just emphasize, has not actually been filed yet. So it's an idea, but it's not a case before the courts or a submission before the courts at this stage.
There's another issue to this, right, which is that we would expect people to take care over judgments, and particularly, for example, constitutional court judgments can take a long time because there's no appeal. And so that means that even in urgent cases, so for example, the elections case last year, you take a long time over that judgment because you set precedents for the next elections. You have to be very careful. And I would suggest, this would be my suggestion, no one else's, that this document, the Zondo Commission final report with the recommendations, the executive summary, which is all most of us are ever going to read, is possibly more important than almost every judgment given in the history of South Africa because of what it is going to do to our politics. So, if it recommends that cadre deployment is illegal, for example, if it recommends that that process be ended, if it recommends changes to the way that Parliament works, these are going to be fought over in the political terrain for years to come, no matter what happens. It's even possible that, that this report could have a big impact on the result of the 2024 election. Putting all of that together, it would suggest to me that maybe he should even take more care over this than anyone ever has over a judgment.
Stephen, it also almost sounds like you're encouraging Zondo to take more time. As someone who wants to read the substance of it, I wouldn't encourage that at all. But of course, yes, the clout of this document, never mind all of the preceding parts of the report, it's absolutely monumental, not only in terms of this phenomenon of state capture, but as a kind of timepiece of an era of South African politics, something that's permeated our society, across the rungs. Service delivery, the plight of farmers in the Free State, people who were threatened as whistleblowers in SAA, for example, in the SSA, in PRASA and so forth. And so, yes, the kind of quality of this document and the rigor with which it's produced is critical. And I do think that one of the things that's going to be interesting to see is how this ages. How do the recommendations of the Zondo Commission age? How does the substance of the evidence gathered and the findings age? And then, of course, we've got to wait 4 darn months until we hear from the President what he plans on doing with the recommendations. That's right as we lead up to the ANC elective conference. So hopefully the Commission isn't getting sort of sidetracked or distracted by the political picture, the much bigger political picture here. But it is there, and it is kind of framing this final submission.
Erin Bates, thanks very much indeed, legal writer at Business Day. You'll have to put on a face mask, possibly for the last time, hopefully. Erin Bates with us there.